What's happening, everybody, man? Thank you guys tuning in to another episode of One Big Fire. And we've got a massive fire joining us today, Mr. Stasek, as the one and only Kendall Bonner in the house. Kendall, welcome. Always great seeing you.
Hey, love it. Love being back.
Yes, for sure. So you guys tuning in first time, One Big Fire is really about, the conversations with all the fires throughout the country and coming together to form one big, massive fire. And, today's no different. We love to jump into hot topics, things on kind of at the forefront of what we're seeing, what we're hearing, what we're feeling, and we want to dive in. And so today is no different, and being able to have Kendall's genius and perspective is always something to pay attention to. And, I told Kendall, I told, Stasek and Kinder, I was like, if you want to pay attention to what's happening with EXP, I said, the one that you got to pay attention to is what Kendall is up to. And so love having you on anytime that we get an opportunity to connect, and excited to dive in.
Well, I'm honored to be here. This is amazing. I love y'all. And I'm I'm ready to have fun. Let's have a good, fun, value-driven conversation. Let's do it.
Let's go. So Al, I would love for you to kind of kick it off. We were talking about, around attraction, around recruiting, why agents move, or why, even more interesting, why agents don't move even when they know it's the right thing to do. So you were talking about PDF that you were diving into. You shared on a previous conversation earlier this week. Man, I think it's worth diving into and being able to get, Kendall's perspective, especially around the mindset and psychology of why people do what the heck they do.
Yeah. And I mean, one of the big, it was more confirming than like an aha, was a statement in that report. And by the way, the name of the report, just to cite the report, is called The Simple Psychology of Real Estate Recruiting. And I've been really just diving. I've read it multiple times, and I like reading it like in little chunks and then diving into little pieces of it. One of the comments that was in there that I just thought was so true was the fact that when we think about businesses, we've all owned small businesses before in different, I know Kendall, you're an attorney first by trade and then moved into the real estate sector, but you still have that, that attorney's mindset because you were trained that way. And that was your original passion, I know. But, when you think about business, a company that operates, with a hierarchy and with people holding people accountable and whatnot. And there's a structure to that. And that really doesn't exist in the, your typical real estate brokerage piece, right? And the reason is because the biggest group of employees are all 1099 employees. They're not W-2'd employees. They don't punch a clock. They don't have to be somewhere and put certain amount of hours in and whatnot, or for that matter, hit certain goals in order to remain, sales goals to remain, with the organization. It's more of a community. They're joining a community and they will tend to stay in communities. And when you think about the term community, that what you get from being part of a community is more of an emotionally driven thing. And that emotion that you feel is either going to make you stay or the emotion will make you move away, depending on the leadership of that community, how people behave in that community. Are you aligned with that, with those leaders and how they're leading, the actions, the things they say, the things they're training on, or do you not align? And some people start out thinking there's alignment, and then eventually you start thinking, you know what, maybe I'm not in the right community, so to speak, right? And so I dove in thinking about that structure and thinking about, wow, so this is more of a social thing. Yes, we're in this for business. Yes, we're in this to learn skills, to improve us, not just professionally, but personally, that personal growth aspect. And then oftentimes that's going to bleed over into our business side of things and that acumen. And so, we started Honey Badger Nation with just the idea of how do we deliver the most amount of value to the most amount of people in a group, And that's why we ended up coming up with the Facebook page and people collaborating and sharing and opening their playbooks, essentially, and just saying, here's what's working. And that never existed when I was with other brokerages. Everyone kind of kept things tight to their chest. It made me think of like my first brokerage, and I won't mention the name because it doesn't really matter. But I mean, very family driven. You know, they had anywhere from 90 to 100 agents, your typical traditional old school brokerage, brick and mortar. And to be real honest, the culture wasn't great. It was very old school, a lot of angry people in there, you know, just it wasn't like a soft and fun and, you know, type of environment that we often see, like that we're kind of used to right now. And it's not even company wide. I think everyone's had to adapt and get that edge off, right? But today there's still people in that same brokerage. They'll just never move. And you know, the environment the culture and environment could be toxic. They could have toxic people in there that just have, you know, the wrong mindset about growth, and people will still stay. And it's fascinating. And so we really, you know, in order to dive into the psychology of it, you have to think like that safety net. What is stopping someone from? It's not your logical brain, because if our logical brain was driving all these decisions, there'd actually be way more movement than we're seeing. And there's been a lot of movement, but it is that sense of safety, that sense of feeling of belonging, and the fear that if you were to make a move over here, you may not feel that same sense of whatever you were feeling over there, even if it was toxic. You know what I mean? Like it's like someone in a bad relationship and they stay in it because they're afraid that, well, maybe I won't find anyone else that will welcome me into the party. So I don't know. I'd love to deep dive and get your guys' opinion, Kendall. Like I don't know how many brokerages prior to EXP you were with, but what is your opinion on like really what you're seeing agents when they do decide like, okay, to make the move? What is the number one driver that you've been seeing?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, before I even get to that, I have so many thoughts about what you said that I kind of want to touch on some of those things too, and hopefully I'll transition that into what I think is the number one driver for that I believe people are changing companies for. And so some of the stuff that you talked about, you know, it reminded me of the things that actually caused me to come over to EXP at the point when I was ready. And I remember there being a few things top of mind for me. You know, number one, I've never resisted change. I mean, and some people, I think that's one of the reasons why some people struggle with making the move, because they resist change, and change is scary for people. And there's this internal belief that, oh, maybe, you know, it's not going to be any better over there. I've already been hurt before. I've already been disappointed before. There's only more disappointment on the other side of this. At least I know what I'm getting over here. Things of that nature, those different fears. But for me, I love and continue to love the collaboration, the masterminding, because for me, those things lead to growth. Like the fact that I get to have conversations with the two of you, and so many others, and Spring, and, you know, Gogo, and Veronica, and Tina Call, and, you know, and we have channels where we all talk. And, you know, I'm on channels with top EXP leaders who converse all the time, sharing ideas and questions, you know, from Zillow Flex teams to, you know, top attractors in our company to top producers. I mean, EXP is constantly building channels for agents who are like-minded to get together and share and collaborate. And the agents freely do, which I think is amazing. And for me, that was one of the things that like drew me to the company. And I didn't want to stay in a vacuum, right? Where like, it's just the same conversations over and over and over again, which is where I felt like I was getting a little bit of that. And I needed, you know, some innovation. I needed thought leadership that was like progressing forward, not frustrated on the problems of today, but really focused on the solutions of tomorrow. And those were things that were going through my mind. I also think, you know, what is the number one reason people are moving outside of community? Because I actually do agree with you that community is a huge factor for a lot of people, because they're looking for relationship. They're looking for someone that is like-minded, that, is doing something hopefully better than they're doing it so they can contribute or learn from them, or they're looking to find other people that they can pour into, right? I mean, I think I used to tell this to Amy Somerville because I felt like this was a part of who her character was. I said, you need to be in places, I said this to her, I don't know, 3 years ago, in a place where not only do you can give value, like she needed to be able to contribute value, right? But also to know that she was valued and that she was appreciated for all the value that she brought to the table. And it just kind of reminded me that there's so many of us that had that, we need both of those things. We want to feel like we give value, and we also want to feel like we are valued and appreciated where we are. And I think it's a very human thing that we need that. And I think that makes a lot of sense. And, but as far as if I were going to give a second reason, I think people are moving, it's for leadership or lack thereof. I think people are looking for someone that they can connect with, that they admire, that they respect, that they look up to, that, is guiding them and willing to like give value to them and pour into them and build an experience that causes them to want to like participate. Because let's be real estate is hard. And I'm not even just talking about this market. It's hard when you're in an easy market, right? We've been through several markets. I've been in the industry 15 years now. I started in the short sale market. I mean, I've been through all of it, all the roller coasters over the last 15 years. And if you've not only been in the industry, which the majority of agents today have only been in the industry in the last 5 or less, you have no idea. It's never easy, ever. Yeah. There is no easy world.
Do you think, Kendall, on the leadership side of things, do you think that is kind of, like you said, secondary as, when they're, because most people are moving away from pain, right? Like they've got a real issue, and they finally flip to seeker, to Al's point, they just stay, right? They become complacent. They're probably of a fixed mindset instead of a growth mindset. And, if you understand that difference and you have that growth mindset, most people are moving, trying to solve a pain point instead of an opportunity, right? Like, there was maybe for you, it might've been, I have a pain or a lack of, or a job that I'm looking to get done that in my current situation, the solution's not there. And then you see a possible solution, and then that leadership kicks in because it's like, I trust that person. I believe that they can help me. I need to get close to that. I need to get close to that person. And so do you see the leadership as just kind of a confirmation to close the deal versus somebody seeking leadership?
Well, this is the thing. I think that pain might trigger the awareness, the openness. But when someone makes a selection, that's not always like pain, in my opinion, pain driven. Like the choice that they ultimately choose isn't always it's not necessarily pain driven to me. It might be solution driven, right? And so to me, the leadership becomes the solution to part of the problems that they were having in the past. But I think like I'm not motivated by pain personally. Like I'm very solution oriented. I don't look for the problems. I look for solutions. That's my nature. And I know that's different than, we're not all built the same, or exactly the same. But I do feel like pain is a trigger. But, it's these other things like community, leadership, collaboration, opportunity that ultimately drive the yes to that thing as opposed to no to that thing. Right.
What do you think gets people to stay? Right. Because everything I'm running as you're talking, I'm listening and I'm going through my experiences to where I was seeking solutions and I believed that person, but once I got into it, I'm like, this is BS. This is a house of cards. This is phony. So what's the component that actually gets people to stay?
That's a good question. I mean, I know for me, again, my perspective about things is, I think, it's mine. I won't say it's different or anything, because there are people that might agree with me, but I don't put an expectation on anyone to drive my success. I don't feel like that's their responsibility. It's my responsibility. So when I come into an environment, they have a saying, the grass is greener where you water it, right? Where you pour into it, where you pay attention, where it's nourished. That's where the grass is greenest, right? When it's nourished. So I feel like when you come into an environment and you decide to take advantage of all the things that, the opportunities that are available to you, and you get plugged in, then you start to expect what's reasonable to expect, right? What's reasonable to in your own control. Because for me to hold Albie's in my upline, if I said, Albie, I joined EXP for you and you owe me, this and this, I don't think that's fair to Albie, right? In any fashion. And I would never even expect that of him. But what I do expect of Albie is that if I call him and I need his help on something, if he can help me, he will help me because he wants to do that, because that's who he is and that's his character. But I can't ever expect Albie to be responsible for my success. But if Albie says he's going to show up for me and he does, then that's a reasonable expectation and it's being met. And I think that's fair.
Yeah. So you guys have all seen Tony Robbins. And I remember learning this first time I ever saw him. It was in Chicago at what's the Firewalk one?
UPW.
UPW, yep. And he talked about certainty, and that as humans in human nature, we're looking for certainty. And I was writing some notes down as you were talking, the first response that you gave here, Kendall. And what I wrote down was certainty. And then I started thinking there's two types of certainty. There's accurate certainty and inaccurate certainty. When you think about it, we all want accurate certainty, right? So the word certainty in itself will hold someone in a place that's maybe not the best environment for them to grow to where their potential is, but they don't know it yet. They don't have that awareness. They believe their certainty is accurate. But inaccurate certainty versus, and I believe, and what I wrote down was accurate certainty is impossible to achieve without clarity. And it leads into one of John's favorite topics, which, kind of surrounds around one of the exercises we have our students go through when they hire us as coaches, is the clarity report. The clarity report walks you through step by step the process of getting clear. And then once you're clear on where you're going and where you're not going, oftentimes it's, okay, that's not the path that I want to go down.
Yeah.
But you can't have that accurate certainty to feel certain, like, okay, we need to make a change. Like when you have that moment of, okay, I got it. I'm clear. I have the clarity. And now I'm certain that this is the way I need to go personally in my professional career. But you can't get there until you actually take the time, do the exercise, block the time out, knowing where, if you're going from point A to point B, is that B that you have in your mind really the goal? Is the goal really to go from 25 sales to 75 or from 50 to, or to build a big team? Sometimes that is the goal for people. I want to build a big team. I want to lead other leaders and lead them to their success. Or is your path and your journey more of a solo agent? And you're going to maybe build your business that way because you're certain that that's your path. In order to do that, you have to go through the exercise, or it doesn't have to be our clarity report. It could be any type of a business planning that really digs deep into your psyche, asks, and you got to answer the questions accurately and truthfully. Like, is this the path? And finding that out. And then at one point you just have to say, you know what? Okay, I did the work. I'm going to go for it. I'm certain right now. And that certainty can change. But I think that the certainty is what keeps people. Sometimes an inaccurate certainty is going to keep someone in an environment that's not serving them, around people that is not serving them. But once they take the time and get that clarity, it'll make the decision a lot easier to move on. John, yours. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I just real fast, I wanted to say, very, very good points. And you said something that reminded me of something I tell people all the time too, around, I say, listen, you want me to tell you the reason for every breakup, every fight you've ever had in your life, whether it's personal, professional, business. It doesn't matter. It could be with family. It could be with their partner. It doesn't matter. And the reason that we, have these problems, right? Because it's not just about retention per se, because that's a proactive. Attrition is kind of reactive, right? Like when people choose to leave, it's usually reacting to something. And the reaction comes from unmet expectations, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when you have unmet expectations, I tell people, it's like, there's an exercise that I tell people to go through. It happens for two reasons. Number one, and I learned this growing up, people have expectations of you and they're ignorant to them. Like they don't even realize they have these expectations, right? Meaning if I asked you, John, let's go out to lunch, and you're like, all right, cool, I don't care, where do you want to go? And I say Mexican, and you say no. And I always joke and I say, well, if you don't like Mexican, we can't be friends. But that was a form of an expectation. And so we have them, we don't even know them. And then the second reason is we fail to communicate them. So we have them subconsciously also and fail to tell people, hey, this is what I expect of you. And so when the person doesn't meet the expectation, that is the breakdown of every relationship you've ever had, including one with your brokerage, right? Mm-hmm. And one with your business partner. And Albie, I'll agree with you too on how important it is to have self-awareness of who you are and what your working genius is. I love that book. By the way, Tina Call used to talk about that 6 Types of Working Genius all the time. And I finally got to read it. It was such a good book, very enlightening for me, brought a ton of self-discovery, a lot of awareness about who I am and what I enjoy versus what I don't enjoy. And we spend so much time chasing what we think is the prize, what we see other people do thinking that's the prize, and it's not for us. And it's okay, and we have to get really clear, to your point, find that clarity about what is for us. And then how do I take that and multiply it and make it, build the business, build the life, the career that I aspire to have. Right. I mean, and it does start with inside for sure.
Yeah. A couple of things I was thinking, just because I finally listened, Al, and sitting in Seattle with Kendall, and she's like, and listening to Glenn talk in the direction of EXP and just how powerful, where Glenn's head is at, everything is around AI driven, and how they've actually structured and running EXP with custom GPTs, and it's pretty freaking remarkable. And a lot of the things that they were saying, and Kendall's like, hey, have you read this book? And then I had Kendall on the podcast last week, and she's like, hey, you've got to read this book. You've got to do this. And I'm like, okay, finally. I'm not going to, Kendall, we were once told by a mentor of ours, Clayton Mask, every problem we showed up for a year and a half, we showed up. And he's like, have you read The Advantage by Patrick Lencioni? Mm-hmm. Have you read The Advantage by Patrick Lencioni? For a year and a half.
Right.
And we're finally like, okay, we read the book, and we're like, God dang, I wish I would have read that book a year and a half ago. We would have solved all of the problems that he was telling us to solve. So I got the book, Kendall. And so wow, right? It is. And it's the right way to think about utilizing AI. And as Al was talking, right, the clarity report, being able to go through, but leveraging AI as a thought partner, yes, instead of the one driving the ship. Yeah. And that's what Kendall's been saying. It's what Glenn's saying. It's what Eric with Who's always been saying. He's like, listen, you drive it. AI is just your partner. It's not going to lead the way. And it's that kind of going through there. So as you were talking, Al, kind of going through the clarity report, but utilizing that as a thought partner to have it ask you questions to navigate through what we built the clarity report, but being able to use it within AI. But as you were also talking, and Kendall, you were talking, was the adoption, chart, right? So it's like, even to Al's point with certain agents, like some of those agents that are stuck in complacency with inaccurate, certainty, like what Al was talking about, those are the laggards. Like they ain't ever coming. So why waste your time and attention on those people? And just follow the adoption curve, get your innovators, get your early adopters, and create awareness around those people, because the later majority or whatever that comes, most of those people need proof. right? They need to see, and I think that's where the trust comes in. That's where the leadership comes in. That's where the case studies, the examples, the stories. And so I know, Kendall, like the conversation really around, and I love where Al took it to the mindset first, right? Because it's always mindset first. But I think if you focus on that, the front and the people that are actually going to make a move, but from a marketing perspective, utilizing their success, utilizing their stories, utilizing their wins in the marketing to create the awareness to what Al was talking about, because it's just like a fish, right? A fish isn't aware of anything above the water unless they get out of the water and like, oh, wow, there's a whole world up here. And it's the same thing, right? Being able to create that awareness. And I think the awareness has to be done through example, through proof.
Yeah, I mean, talking about AI, I don't know which. I just bought the book, by the way. Thank you, guys.
It's amazing.
I wasn't not paying attention. I'm like, I'm going to forget this if I don't buy it right now. So I bought it. Can't wait to dig in. But with, since we're crossing into the AI a little bit, like there is a program. I don't know which one it is. It might be just ChatGPT. I don't know. Where you can punch in like, this is my real estate business right now. I've done, 25, 26, 50, whatever it is, or I have a team and I'm comparing company X to company Y. Can you give me a breakdown of where you think I would fit in best or whatever based upon what you feed it? And it's amazing the breakdowns that you can get from these. Now, remember, going back to what you guys were just saying, AI is not smart. It only grabs out what's being fed to it. Okay. It looks smart because the way it puts it in a very intuitive, easy to read, like, wow, this is amazing, but it's only grabbing the information that's out there. And if it's fed wrong information, it's going to give you slanted or wrong information. We've seen it do that as well, but it's a good starting point. When you're thinking about clarity, like, oh, do I got to do another, you can do the clarity now. Like in fact, maybe that's one of the things we should start thinking about, John, is like the AI driven clarity report. Wow. Like
I already have it built. I had Eric build it inside of Whoosy. It's already there.
No way. There you go.
It's inside of, it's a custom Spark inside of Whoosy. So you just go through and you just, it walks you through
weapons, like, secret from me, brother. I like getting surprised on the pod like this. This is good stuff. But I mean, think about how much time that's going to save you, right? Like versus amazing. What we would teach is block an entire day out, no appointments, cell phone to the side, so you can fully focus on, because it does take a lot of time. But now, John, apparently,
in 30 minutes,
already done, and you can get this now within maybe a couple of hours, or a couple of days. And it's just important to do it. And going to Kendall's point, it brings you the awareness, which some people are afraid of that.
Kendall, talk to us a little bit, because I think to Al's point, what he's kind of referring to are the biases based upon the learning model that you kind of go and obviously the prompts and the questions and the things you ask. Yeah. If you were kind of thinking about that, I mean, how would you go about like trying to look for either as an agent doing the research yourself, or you in the marketer seat, you've got your marketing hat on, to be able to really leverage AI to kind of go through the mindset, understanding why people make move, why they don't. Kind of how would you walk through one of the learning models within AI to kind of help navigate this?
I love this question. Okay. So this actually makes me excited, because I didn't even tell you this, but I did this project in AI recently. And it was a lot of fun. It was so much fun. I spent literally like 12 hours in front of the computer, didn't get up. And my husband, on Father's Day, so my husband's like, you work all day. And I was like, well, but I'm like so into what I'm doing. AI and I are like, we're best friends. She has a name. Her name is Grace. And and she and I talk all the time. So a couple of really easy things I think people could do to improve their AI experience. Because I was saying, like any kind of software or analysis software, garbage in, garbage out, right? So to Al's point, it's like if you put if you don't formulate like and coach it and teach it how to engage with you, you are not going to be happy with the results. And so from that book, as well as just from experience, I've learned a couple of things, and also from hearing amazing other AI leaders like, Phil Stringer and others kind of give their tips on prompts and all of that. I think is super powerful. But if I could give you some ideas, it would be number one, every time I want my GPT to help me do something or build something or analyze something, like for example, what brokerage should I be looking at, et cetera, I ask it first. So what do you know about X? And I would start there. So I'm like, and it forces the AI to go out and like do homework and then come back to you. And then it spits out a result, right? And then I'll typically read through that. And then I get into what I want to do, which is, okay, I want you to tell me X. And then I give it a few details. The other thing that you can do is give it a persona, like, hey, act as my tax accountant, act as my brand strategist, act as my executive assistant, et cetera. You get the point. Act as my marketing specialist, act as my thought partner. And you give it a persona, and then you tell it what you want. And then this is the key. This is the key from this book that has changed my AI game, which is ask me one question at a time until you have enough information to give me the answer to the question I'm asking you, or give me the results. So a lot of people teach you, ask me 25 questions. Who has time for 25 questions? You're going to be overwhelmed by that. Plus, if it asks you one at a time, it allows you to like think deeply about what the question is. And sometimes it even give you like, hey, it'll suggest answers for you also, which also makes it easier. But all of that is designed and to eventually give you the actual output you're looking for. And that has been one of the most successful tactics I've ever done was, first I ask it, what does it know already? So I can challenge it if it's something.
And to Kendall, I think the key point there is give me the resources to validate your points.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I tell it, don't, cite facts only, right? Like if you get, hallucination is an actual like AI term that they use, that your AI hallucinates, means it makes up stuff. It's like, and it will do that. And so if you don't prompt it not to, right? Yeah. But yeah, so I ask it like, what do you already know? So again, in my next prompt, I can challenge where I'm going with it. And then I tell it to ask me one question at a time. Typically, when I do it that way, I think the most questions it's ever had to ask me, maybe 6 questions by the time it gets to, all right, I got enough information. And then and every time the output, fire. Wow. And then, I get really quality output. And this is what it is. It's my thinking. It's what I'm looking for, but organized, structured, fully mapped out, because it's asking me questions I didn't even think to ask myself.
Yeah.
Right.
And two, even kind of just some distinctions and ways to maybe think about this to Al's point from a brokerage standpoint, right? Like I want to do a comparison, give it kind of your long-term goals, right? And also give it your short-term goals. What are you looking to do career-wise? Hey, I'm only going to be in the game for another 3 more years. I want to maximize where I'm at with my book of business. I'm doing X number of deals. And one of the things that it really talks about in AI-driven leader that it talks about, Al, is it's like, here's my strategic plan. Like, tell me where I'm missing, tell me where I'm wrong. And the whole thing, right? Like, the reason I love this book so much is because it is 100% in alignment to our philosophy, methodology, the way that we've been thinking about real estate, business in general for the last 20 years. Strategy first, technology second. It's always strategy first. Now, the key here is that good strategy, bad strategy, it's only good if it knows what the objective and the goal and the long-term vision is. Right. And then it's like, this is what I'm wrestling with. These are my challenges. This is what I'm struggling with. This is like, I got a puncture wound in my neck. Like, help me solve, like, what is going to help me solve this? What is the right strategy to help me execute based upon my goals? And like, I've never been more like, it talks about that light bulb moment that you have. And once you have that and you see it,
changes the game.
Game over. Game changer.
And yeah, and and that was another tip that I did out of that book as well, is like, tell me what I'm missing. It challenge the assumptions I'm making. Tell me what assumptions you're making. Like it's, I literally have the best conversations with my AI through this. And not to mention, if you're not talking to your AI, your GPT on your phone, that is a whole nother experience. I literally had a full on, my husband's lap is like, who are you talking to? Right. I had a full on conversation with her and I'm speaking to her, like not typing. We are conversing,
Okay.
like
Yeah.
back and forth, having this amazing conversation. My husband's like, who are you talking to? I was like, oh, Grace, my AI. He's like, you can do that? How do you do that? And I was like, oh, just press that, it's so funny. But the other thing that I love too, like, for example, I recently had an employee or a staff member decide to, go a different direction and leave the company recently. And what I've learned through this experience because of my AI skill, because it is a skill up, it's an upskill, right? Whatever the phrase you want to use, using AI, AI has the power to make us superhuman. Like it has supercharged my productivity. Like half the staff at HP that knows what I do are always like, I don't know how you do it. And I'm like, I do it because it's me and Grace. I have a total thought partner who works alongside me. She and I are besties and we like talk every day and we are changing the game together. And I am figuring out, and I have figured out, and I'm building AI bots. So whether you call them an AI agent, a chat bot, a custom GPT, all the same thing. I am building tools that myself and my team can leverage to replace the work of someone who, or at least a piece of their work, not all of it, a piece of their job that if I ever replace them, that person who comes in and does that work can do it that much faster, like literally 10x their productivity because AI can help us do it faster than we can do it ourselves, right? And so it is not about replacing the employee, but certainly certain tasks can be improved and made faster, more productive, more accurate by adding and leveraging AI to do the work. And so, the thing is by this person leaving, it's caused me and forced me through the book and this experience to think about that. Whereas when you have the person there, you don't think about how you can make things more efficient. But now it's forcing me, like I said, the book plus the experience opportunity is forcing me to think, how can AI help me do this better, faster, more efficient?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. when AI, was maybe 2 years ago, Nick Krem started, coming out with a course, and of course Phil, and to be really transparent with you guys, like I was listening to a lot of it and I'm thinking, this AI stuff, I don't even know where to begin. It confused me a lot. And I was like, I knew deep down it's not a fad. I knew it wasn't going anywhere, but I didn't have the knowledge to even know how to apply it.
Yeah.
And so I'm one of the slower AI learners. I'll admit that. But what's fascinating is the more I dig into it, and I'm doing it slowly as I need it. But one of the latest things when we were down in Dallas was, I think Leo stood up and said, if you don't have Fixer yet, then you're just, you're living in the ice age, whatever. I immediately while I was in the meeting, downloaded it. I got a call from my assistant and she's like, because email is something that's given me anxiety for the last 10 years. So many emails coming through. Right. And so one of her main jobs for my executive assistant is to go through my email, get rid of all the junk that I don't need to address, and then help me address the things that are in there.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, within minutes, it went into my email. It started writing replies back to emails. And they were like, most of them, we didn't even have to doctor or change anything. They were beautifully written responses. And I'm like, how did Fixer know this? And I know even with that is just the tip of the iceberg of what that application could do. How have you personally, I know that you kind of have your Grace, your ChatGPT. How would you be using, like Fixer and your Grace in combination? Because they do different things, right? And how have you been used Fixer? Because that's something that EXP is invested into, and a lot of agents are just loving right now.
Yeah, well, one of the things that I love, tools like Fixer, because it does more than just your email, right? It also will join your meetings, right? And transcribe your meetings, record them, summaries and updates and follow-ups. And that's also super powerful as a good reminder to especially for someone like me who goes from back to back to back to back meetings, and every meeting has some action items that need to be done. And so I love leveraging AI to help me, recall what are my action items, what are the next steps, who am I waiting on, who's doing what next, what's the next step, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because speaking of attraction, I believe that's the number one failure every agent makes when it comes to agent attraction. They never have a next step. They don't plan the next step. They don't complete the next step. They don't schedule the next step. But anyway, so that's my little side thing on that. But yeah, so leveraging AI. The other thing I like using AI is when I do transcribe every meeting I'm in intentionally, so that I can create summaries. And honestly, you know what else I've done? I've analyzed my leadership. So I would take a staff meeting and then ask the AI, how did I do? What could I have done better?
Did I talk too much? Could I have listened a little bit more? What questions did I not pick up on? What nuances did I miss? What tonality did I miss?
All of that. The other thing I'm having my team do right now, this is really happening in real life right now. I have my team recording their, and when I say my team, my staff at EXP, recording their day in 30-minute sound bites, 30-minute increments. And the goal here, I was like, for every 30 minutes, you need to tell me, what did you accomplish in that 30 minutes? What did you work on? What did you accomplish? And the goal of this is to drive self-awareness about how they're spending their time, help us identify, because I have loaded the first 2 weeks into GPT. I gave them some tips, and then we're going to do another 2 weeks so we can create efficiencies and we can learn and grow and, figure out where are we, I won't say wasting time, but not truly investing our time wisely in the way that we're managing our day. And so I leverage AI to help me coach my team and my staff through that, help them analyze and recognize, hey, you're spending way too much time on this when you could be, not only that, hey, this could actually be automated, or you could be leveraging AI in this area in your day so that this can go faster, right?
Yeah.
So to 10x some of my staff.
So think about this too, Kendall. So you take that, right? And then you feed it Dan Martell's Buy Back My Time. I want to move up the ladder on my productivity quadrant to be doing what I need to do based upon my roles and responsibilities that makes the company the most amount of money. Oh, by the way, here's my working genius. Here's my DISC profile. Here's any of my other assessments based upon who I am at my core that gives me energy. What should I be focused on? If I could allocate 70 to 80% of my working time, what should I be doing? So being able to take it even a step further based upon principles that are already written in assessments that have been done about you, how that's going to give you the feedback to give you, to what Al said earlier, give you the awareness of where you need to be spending your time. That's going to help you accomplish the goals that you're wanting to accomplish.
Oh yeah. I love it. I mean, it has been such a game changer. And like I said, I analyze, even when I'm negotiating contracts, right? As you guys know, I've just finished negotiating several contracts for our CRM of Choice program for EXP. And I was loading this morning when I was up, I loaded all 3 of the contracts so I could see a comparison and an analysis of okay, where everything the same, what's unique, and then how as a business unit do we make adjustments accordingly operationally, right? It's just all that kind of stuff. AI has been so helpful in just, organizing information, helping me think through. In fact, I was trying to do a complicated operational structural piece for our CRM of Choice. And between legal and I was getting a little confused even in my own head between what legal was saying, the goal was. So I loaded into GPT. I was like, explain this to me, what the document says, because I'm not sure if I'm hearing, reading it, interpreting it correctly. And I was like, okay, I got to fix this for my legal team. Ask me one question at a time till we get it right, because I need use cases and examples. And this is what I'm trying to do. Help me figure out how to write this so that I can help my legal team draft an addendum properly. And boom, spit it out. And I was like, that's it exactly. Check your logic, right? And it did the logic and it did the math. I was like, if this, then that, if this, then that. And I was like, beautiful.
Yeah.
I was able to get so much done this morning.
It's helping you become a better leader, more efficient leader. And you were saying helping you coach your agents. It's actually helping you coach you.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, where am I missing? What am I missing in this equation? I'll just interject one last thing from Fixer. The thing that I didn't even know it was going to do. It just surprised me with this is I do an agent attraction training at 10 a.m. Eastern every Monday. I've been doing it for years. And I felt like it was getting a little stale, just it didn't have the zing to it. And so I wanted to change some things up. And I didn't even tell it that I wanted to change some things up. But what it did was it didn't just kick out a transcription. It summarized the whole meeting into like an email or a post that I then shot out to everyone who was invited. Some people didn't make it, whatever. And within 60 seconds, they can get the gist of everything that was talked about in there. And it let me really get focused on, okay, is this really how I want this flow to go? Is it not? And I made some slight adjustments. And now we're getting so much more engagement, so many more people actually showing up and coming back to it. But it just helped me become a better leader by finding my blind spots. So even if it's just those little, what do they say? Tiny hinges swing big doors, Johnny.
That's it.
And it's definitely helped us with that. So, well, this has been awesome. It's gone from the psychology of agent attraction into how AI can help us become better leaders and ultimately create better communities, create better value paths for our agents to go down. And we know that not all agents are built the same. Some people like, cold calling. Some people love the, FISBOs and getting after it and going after that hunt. Other people, we were just at an AHA meeting here in Cleveland. We've been doing them recently. They've been amazing. And one of our agents, she loves doing events. So like she punches in like that her sphere of influence, she's broken it down. She has 60 people that she's looked at and said, okay, these are the people that are sending me all my business. How do I add more to that group of 60 and do a better event? And it kicked out all these different ideas for events that she hasn't thought of yet. She's like, oh, I could do that, and so it's also just a great mastermind where we had to pay $25,000 a year to be in the best mastermind rooms ever. And I still am a big believer in that and getting shoulder and shoulder. Okay. But one quick way of not having to pay $25,000 a year to get in one of these is use your Chat GPT, just like you've trained Grace to be your graceful assistant.
I love it. I love it. Absolutely. So good.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for coming on, Kendall. I want to also make a quick announcement. We have our Honey Badger of the Month award that was just announced. I think it's been announced over in Honey Badger Nation. And this lady really blew me away. This is a lady that her name is Rose Offend. She's from South Atlanta area. And this is someone like, talk about the Honey Badger mindset, right? Never quit, never give up, don't let anything get in your way of your goals. This young lady had, no money to buy an EXPCon ticket, barely any money to get to Cabo, had enough to get there, but not for the hotel room or even to get into the conference. And she just managed to figure it out. There was nothing going to stop this, and we've heard stories even from Phil Stringer, who came along and had to sleep in his car the first night of EXPCon. This is before we knew Phil as who we know him now. And we're talking about this never quit, never relent. You're going to get back up attitude. And congratulations to Rose. She's in every training. She's now doing her first agent attraction event in like this high-end watch where they sell high-end watches, this jewelry store or whatever. She's bringing agents in to get them to dream bigger. And she's like, Al, I can't even afford any of these watches, but I'm going to bring everyone in and I'm going to help them dream bigger. And so congratulations to you, Rose. Thank you for inspiring us all. We're going to have her as a guest on here pretty soon. And I hope that everyone's inspired as much as I was by Rose. So I wanted to give her a little shout out and congratulations.
Congrats. And, you guys, keep nominating everything, resource, honeybadgernation.com. Get over there, keep nominating the Honey Badger of the Month, and also pick up your swag while you're in honeybadgernation.com.
Check out the new site. It's awesome. You got to check it out, Kendall. But you're gonna have something in the mail. We got something coming to you, little swag.
Love it.
You to wear on our next podcast.
Imagine the consequences. I love it.
Yeah.
Kendall, thank you. You're amazing. And Al, appreciate you, brother. And we'll see you
Appreciate it.
guys on the next episode. See ya.